Hi, I'm Anais Salas, and I am Patreon Sage on YouTube, and on Patreon, it's Flamekeeper. It's Dr. Wu. Please go find me. We're here with another episode. This is episode 2 of Meeting the Beloved in Sacred Union, and I'm happy to say that after you guys out there who buy into the typical Mercury retrograde blah 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 falderall, I'm thrilled to pieces that David Foyle and Anastasia Townsend made it here. We're recording now. And so I'd love to introduce them to you and have you know a little bit more about, who they are in the world. So hi, David. Hi, Anastasia. Thank you for joining in again. And you guys can figure out who starts, but I would love if you feel, whatever you feel comfortable sharing about where you are in the world and what you're doing in the world.
Yeah, I can begin that. Right now we're in Corvallis, Oregon. And so that's somewhere located not too far from Portland. And I travel between actually Seattle and Corvallis and Ashland a lot of the time, mostly Ashland. So I have a private practice as a massage therapist, and I do different kinds of work, like cranial sacral and aquacranial, and working with mamas and babies, sometimes doing infant massage classes and things like that. So it gets a little more in depth. And then of course we have our Nest Health practice, and that's a whole lot to explain.
It is.
Yeah. But so, I guess that falls in the realm of bioenergetics as well.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, yeah, just here with David and our one kid that we have with us right now out of many. So.
Thank you. Okay, David.
I'm David Foyle, and I'm currently a student at Oregon State University here in Corvallis, which is why we are here in Corvallis. We moved up from Ashland to allow me to finish an engineering degree. And I'm trying to my spiritual practice with a very practical engineering understanding and bring something beneficial back with me. So,
well, now is the time for that. So yeah. I'm actually looking forward in years to come to seeing how that develops for you, where you end up going with that. I think it's just amazing. Yeah, so that's cool. So that's we're hopefully we're confirming and validating for you folks who are watching some of the really subtle dynamics that go on. Mm-hmm. And this is why when there are conversations about twin flames and we're talking about sacred union and divine counterparts, we want to be specific. And we're talking about a couple things. We're talking about self-love and self-acceptance. And those are key to handling your own resistance flares. Because as you're doing your shadow work and your inner child work and you're healing your emotional wounding stuff, when you learn what it feels like to come into a place of self-acceptance and self-love, then you've kind of got a basis for which to feel your way through the resistance flare. Mm-hmm. And when your partner is holding that energy for you of, I am accepting what's happening for you in the moment. I love you in the moment. I love you anyway in the moment. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so this is also a part of the dynamics. You can begin to see how this is becoming, um, it's a very complex, it's becoming music, and it's becoming a complex melody that is being created every moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we're to the place now where the resistance is a lot less. So, like, say we go into a resistance flare, doesn't happen very often, but uh, I don't resist receiving that way, you know, he can bring. And I'm noticing that with you as well, David, that you don't resist it. It's
Right. And so, and the moment where I was gonna, like, I'm not going to throw up. I can feel that you need to throw up. I'm gonna hold space for you in case you actually have to go throw up. I'm right here in your need to vomit,
yeah.
and it's probably a good idea if I hold space and you go vomit, right? So, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and another example is I was in some kind of resistance flare not too long ago. We went through a high stress period of moving, so
Again,
yeah, again, and something happened, and really, what David did was amazing to me. He came over and he just hugged me, just hugged me, and I just sort of like it just melts me, and then I go inward and I can just go, you know, ping, 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 ping right through everything. And then I'm like, okay. And then I can breathe. And then I'm like, ah, okay, I'm back. Thank you. You know, and I just, you know, thank him for doing that for me.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So, this can happen for you. Let me really be clear about this. You can be experiencing this energetically if you have not yet connected with your physical embodiment of your partner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I promise you. I promise you that you can have this experience and you can feel it. I think that's one of the other things that the soul group helps develop
Yeah. Yeah.
is the sense of connection that we feel each other. There's no time, space, distance barrier. There's just not.
Right.
And that also, what we also have in our soul group is a flow of acceptance and whatever's going on. And we might have an opinion. I mean, it's not like we don't express our opinions, but we still have an acceptance for what is actually happening with any member of our soul group.
Mm-hmm.
We have now, over several years, developed a really profound sense of trust. And we can come forward with something where an unconscious resistance flare has just generated something that is not, that is just, it's just, like, yeah, I mean, I could accept it, but actually, I'm not, I think we could do something different here, and I'm going to move the energy in a way that something different happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can observe it and see if you agree and understand why I'm doing this. And what we do together as a group, I mean, I don't know, I mean, it's stunning really what we do. I think it's stunning. I think we should teach it at the UN. I do. And
Yeah.
we should go to the United Nations and give them a live demo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because when we're in these spaces, what we feel it. We feel the resistance flares. We feel it in the group energy. And one of us usually will have the courage to say, excuse me, I think we need to sit down and have a conversation because something is going on here, and I think we should make it conscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes just having that perception, having the feeling, trusting that any one of us in the group can trust that and come forward and say, excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah. And speak to it. Yep.
And speak to it. And some of us are more practiced at that than others, like Anastasia, Jesus Christ. I mean, really, what can we not say to each other? Honest to God, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm. And even when we come from this space of, I don't really like this right now, or I'm not sure I want your opinion, or what are you doing? Or, I mean, it's just like, okay.
Yeah. 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 Accountability and
Yeah.
yeah. On all levels.
Yeah. And I think we have that because we have a deep sense that we really do love each other,
Mm-hmm.
and that the way we love each other can be trusted.
Yeah. 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 And I that, I don't know if this is where we get into like the, what we call past life stuff. I know that's a kind of a catch-all phrase, but
Other experiences that are operating on different timelines than the ones we're focused on right now.
there you go. That's much better. Yeah, I think the past life thing is kind of a little bit misleading. But when you say it like that, more easier to understand, really. So yeah, I mean, in a sense, us knowing each other and knowing that our souls have gone, round and round, and us being able to clear and clean up those things with each other, the love is profound.
Yeah.
It really is. And then there is just ever present. So that's a huge piece of it. And that is it, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And so David and Anastasia are two embodied energies that are in this interaction, sharing time and space. And occasionally they have some distance, the physical distance that they have to navigate, but primarily they're sharing a timeline, time, space, and it's really close in terms of relativity.
Yeah.
The experience that I'm having is different. And I'm now in another transition. I'm quite aware that I'm in another transition. And I just had a beautiful opportunity with someone I'm very close to who spent some time, we spent some time together. And some of that static from the other station that's just a little bit down the dial. It's like,
Yeah.
what, right? What is that, right? So we have been practicing learning how to listen for that quality of static in ourselves and in other people, and how to open that up and say, wait a minute, let me turn the dial, let me really hear what's going on in this station, let me listen to the broadcast. And I have found that that information in that dial down on the other broadcast is always relevant to what is going on right here, right now, on my channel 6, whatever it is, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So we encourage you all to not be afraid to play with your dial.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's helpful. It's really helpful.
Yeah, your frequency range is much broader than you might imagine.
Yeah.
If you have the opportunity to open up and clear yourself of the cultural conditioning of any belief system. I mean, you can just think about it in terms of information and energy. That's how I prefer to think about it, and how information and energy is organized. And there is a lot that has in that dynamic that has to do with the way electrical current contributes to how information moves. It also has a lot to do with how water contributes to how information moves. You get water and electricity together, ooh, things get very interesting. Okay, that's what we are, folks. We are water and electricity, in case nobody ever told you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think, you know, to let people know it's okay to play with their dial, and they don't have to have a belief around the dial. They can just experience and listen in and get the information and feel the energy, and then discern whether it's relevant to something that's happening in their own right now, right here moment. Yeah?
Absolutely. I feel like that's what we do when we have an experience, what we've called deep dive, when we feel like it's time to sort of go in and play with that dial and get information that we feel like we need, that's relevant to us in our present moment in terms of our soul growth. So we do it. We do it whenever we have the time to do it. So we have busy, you know, we're kind of busy. So, but we definitely feel when it sort of like, oh, okay, I think it's time. We better go in and check out what's going on here. And sometimes it just comes up through, like you said, pain in the body, or something that keeps kind of happening that we are like, oh, that there's something there. We need to go look at what that is. And so, you know, maybe we've had situations with family members or whatever just come up and clearing some of those other timelines, and what we would also call, you know, it helps us to merge timelines once we clear or understand that information in a simple, you know, complex but simple way, bringing it in, integrating it, and you know, that maybe in some of it, like I feel like sometimes it's me getting bigger to look at, you know, that part of me that it hasn't integrated, or in terms of us, like, you know, helping that to, okay, I'm going to get bigger now. And then, oh, I see. Okay. And then I can just bring that in. It's really almost that simple, if that makes sense.
It does. Now, the thing that's really cool, and you and I've been doing this a long time, and as part of, you know, when we studied together and we did that, is that the how you do the get bigger part.
Oh, yeah. That's true. That's a good point.
Teaching, you have to learn how to do the get bigger part.
Yeah, you have to recognize that you can get bigger.
Right.
And where that, and for us, we'll just put it right out there. Our soul group and the way this works is it's heart-centered. Always it has been, always will be. This is where it is. This is where we get bigger from. I really don't think there is another way with that. Maybe, but this is a pretty good way.
Well, there is another way, but it is not heart-centered.
Okay.
And it's that other way of getting bigger is we can look all around and see the kind of the damage that way of choosing to get bigger creates.
Yeah, totally out of balance, out of alignment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really, in our group, it's very clear, our alignment with,
with source.
the source, right?
Excuse me, let's be really clear.
Exactly. Yeah, this planet and our own hearts.
Yeah.
So, and all that integrated there.
Yeah.
So when I talk about getting bigger, that's what I'm talking about. And it's very specific. So that's an amazing way to just be integrating these parts of ourselves that are out of alignment.
Those resistance flare bits. Whoa,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.